Creating a power system that measures character strength is not something new in the shonen genre, from series like Dragon Balls that have scouters to series like One Punch Man that measure heroes in different classes and are numbered in those classes. Series like Seven Deadly Sins that have, power levels which characters are, given based on their ability. And it's very easy to always measure characters, see how strong they are. It makes everything exciting, but at the same time, when it is too objective or too set in stone, shall I say, it makes it a bit less interesting because we already know who is stronger than who, and we kind of already know how the fights will pan out before they even start. And so creating a system in which it is clear to characters who is stronger than who, but makes it a bit more nuanced for the battles to go on is not very easy. And bounties in One Piece are one of the most interesting ways in which this has been implemented in a shonen series. Now, before we get into bounties and why they are so hard to calculate in the future for characters, to calculate their strength, please subscribe if you can and if you haven't already. And, if you're wondering about spoilers, check the description, there's a spoiler tag there. Now, the first reason that, comes up when measuring bounties is the fact that it's not about strength only, it is about your overall threat to the One Piece world government. Now, this means two things. One, it means that the threat is a bit more broad and encompasses a lot of other things, who you're related to, how strong you are, other skills you may have, and maybe even your potential in the future. And then it also means that half the characters in the series don't even have bounties because they work under the world government. So that no one in the Navy has a bounty because the world government doesn't want to capture them. And so we can't even measure their bounties and are left wondering how strong they are really. And then we get to the whole point of the fact that at the end of the day, these are people who are measuring these bounties. And so a great part of it is your perspective. A character in the story who suffered the most from this is Chopper. In Enies Lobby, Chopper, went monster point, but because no one saw it by the time the Buster Call came and the Navy arrived at Enies Lobby, Chopper already exhausted his energy and was paralyzed for the rest of the arc. And essentially all they saw was a pet that needed to be taken care of and couldn't even walk on his own. And so he was given a bounty of 50 berries, right? Same in Dressrosa. Afterwards, he wasn't even there. But we know Chopper is great, he was doing good work on Zou, but no one saw it once again, and so his bounty only doubled because he was part of the Straw Hat crew. If the world government or even if the Navy had seen Chopper doing what he does, he would have been given a much higher bounty. Right, in Whole Cake Island, he was there helping the Straw Hats, blocking Big Mom, but nobody saw it. And so he does not get any praise for something that was not seen. And so perspective plays a huge role into what characters actually get as bounties, because if it's not seen, then it doesn't matter. Blackbeard is the same way. Blackbeard, for all his pirate life, avoided getting a bounty and was actually unknown to the world government until he made deliberate effort to go and make his name known. But that's not the only issue we run into when we're talking about humans making power levels for other characters, right? We then get into the issue of potential and how you perceive someone's potential as a character in the story. Because Nico Robin and Big Mom, although they were young, were perceived to be great threats in the future, potentially if they kept going down that road, and were given really high bounties before they even reached the ages of 10. Nico Robin given a bounty for 79 million for being able to read poneglyphs, and Big Mom 50 million for just her strength, or her inherent strength from the day she was born. Now, although we can argue whether these were justified and the numbers exactly, the point is someone decided that, based on their potential I see in them, I'm going to give them this bounty. And that may be right or wrong depending on who is judging. And then we get into the problem of people paying for the Navy to change bounties and manipulate due to undue influence. Arlong in the East Blue made sure to pay Nezumi to make sure his bounty didn't go any higher so that he wouldn't attract any attention. But when Luffy came to Arlong Park and defeated Arlong, Nezumi used his influence to increase Luffy's bounty. So it's something that, when you think about it, there's a lot of human influence that, affects bounties and our ability to calculate, but also perceive how strong characters actually are when it comes to this whole argument. But moving on from there, we come to one of the most interesting ways in which Oda has manipulated this whole bounty system to make it a bit more interesting for us, and that is the warlord system. Now, although it is currently abolished, the warlord system, when it went on, was a system that used pirates to work for the world government and the navy to capture other pirates. And in exchange, their bounties were frozen and they were allowed to really be free as pirates without any worries from the navy. However, now it becomes even harder to measure their strength because now we don't even know in what regard they're currently held. All we know are legends and myths and rumors about these characters, and that's all we have to go off of, right? And this is shown especially in Luffy's journey because although a warlord may have a frozen bounty, they grow from there, and different characters have different potentials based on the powers and abilities and relations that they have and all these complicated things. And so how do you measure a warlord's growth even though their bounty was frozen before, and it's been a while, so we don't know what they've done to increase or to improve from the time they got their first bounty. And looking at Luffy's journey, when he meets Crocodile, Crocodile has a bounty of 81 million. But this is a frozen bounty. And although Luffy gets a bounty of 100 million, you have to ask yourself, would 100 million be really more than what Crocodile's active bounty would be at the time? Given the fact that he probably got stronger since they froze his bounty, and everything he'd been doing, right, he's managed to pull off in almost destroying a whole country under the world government's nose, right? So would his bounty really be under 100 million if it was active? And so maybe, Luffy's bounty, as much as it increased to 100 million, was probably lower than what the world government saw as Crocodile's real threat level. And then you get to Gecko Moria. Now, when the Straw Hats beat Gecko Moria, Luffy previously had a bounty of 300 million after Enies Lobby, but it doesn't increase, right? Because the perspective of the matter is that Kuma came and wiped out the Straw Hats. But then they appear in Sabaody and all that happens, but the bounty doesn't increase. Luffy is still at 300 million, even though Gecko Moria's frozen bounty is at 320 million, right? So Luffy's bounty doesn't even go up as high as Gecko Moria's old bounty. And then you reach Doflamingo, in which Luffy beats him with the help of Law. Luffy goes up to 500, which is great and all, but based on his struggle later on with characters like Cracker and Katakuri, should actually be higher, right? Luffy had a similar difficulty fighting Cracker as he did with Doflamingo, and Cracker had a bounty of 860 million. Doflamingo's bounty would probably be, maybe nearly as high if it was still active, but Luffy only got a bounty of 500. So once again, Luffy's bounty always seems to be lower if we kind of estimate someone's threat level. But again, this is just us, another subjective group of people measuring bounties. Now, after Whole Cake Island, Luffy beats Katakuri, who has a bounty of 1,057 million, and he gets a bounty of 1.5 billion. Right now, this is not only after defeating Katakuri, but after all the events of Whole Cake Island, which were actually partially misconstrued as Luffy's plan and Luffy's leadership of characters, and plus the fact that they heard that he had a grand fleet, and all this plays into the perspective of who Luffy actually is and his perceived threat level. Now, should his bounty be that high? Maybe it should. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe Katakuri's bounty should be higher, but he's more of a passive character, and so his bounty doesn't actually reflect his strength level, but maybe his threat level because of the fact that he's a more passive character in the One Piece world. Right, so maybe Luffy's bounty should actually be 1.5 billion because Katakuri's actually should be higher than what it was. Or maybe both of their bounties should be lower because Luffy is not that strong, it's just the misconstrued perception that's making him seem that great. And all these play a factor. But now Oda once again has thrown another curveball, because normally we only get to hear about people's bounties after they've been defeated, or during, or maybe one character at a time, and he's gone ahead with the Yonko and given us all their bounties beforehand. Right now, for characters like Blackbeard, it makes it more interesting because Blackbeard is a character who will continue to grow, while other characters like Kaido and Big Mom are probably not going to grow in bounty from now on, and potentially will become obsolete in the story. And once again, we are puzzled to figure out what this means. Will Luffy's bounty actually go higher than the perceived bounty of the Yonkos, or will it seem to remain lower than their perceived bounty? And after a while, will it just be lower than, or not even close to what their bounty actually is, right? Will it be something that will gradually get there and surpass? Will it not? And how will this situation play out in the end now that Oda's thrown another curveball? But then again, guys, these have just been all my thoughts on how I think this whole bounty system affects our view on, how characters will grow in the story and how strong they really are, because there are all these factors that go into calculating a bounty. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know how you guys think, bounties are influenced even more, ideas that I haven't even mentioned. And let me know what you guys think about some characters' bounties, after Wano arc and in the future. Characters that will, have disappeared and may come back again. Let me know how you will find them, possible warlord bounties, all those things. Anything about bounties, put it down in the description below and let's have the conversation. As always, guys, like this video if you like the video, subscribe for more content. If you have time, please watch my other videos, and if not, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end, guys. This is King KZ, and I'll see you in the next one.